Now, like any good speaker, I did a little bit of research on what's going on with you and your business. And what I've learned here is the housing prices are on a bit of a roller coaster. The interest rates are going up. The house sales are going down. Consumer confidence is shaky. Business confidence is in the tank. The equity markets have dried up. There's terrific pressure coming on commissions. You've got national regulations coming into place. And of course, Gail Kelly just swallowed the dragon. I think the executive summary on this, quite frankly, is right at this moment, it just sucks to be you, doesn't it?
My company won't buy me business cards. Now, folks, here's the reality. You can hire people a lot cheaper than me to come in here and blow smoke up your skirt. I get paid to tell you the truth, at least the way it looks to me. Your company won't buy you a card. Buy your own damn cards. They're $20. Jeez. My nephew, when he was about 15 or 16, had come to live with Uncle Warren. He was there for about 6 months. It's a longer story than you really want to hear, but suffice it to say, he had spent a disproportionate amount of his time, as many of us did in the day, endeavoring to demonstrate the veracity of that old adage that young and stupid is a redundancy in terminology. So he's out at my place, and we're having this conversation, which inevitably you will in these circumstances, because he's explaining to me how I don't understand anything at all because everything is different now. And quite frankly, I'd forgotten what it was like to have teenagers in the house. Both my girls got through the teenage thing, and so I'd forgotten what it was like to live with somebody, who's 15 years old, can't find their way downtown by themselves, but knows how the entire universe works. And the conversation we're having is when he launches into the, Uncle Warren, when you were my age, you didn't have computers, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have laptops, you didn't have digital cameras, you didn't have Wii's, you didn't have iPods, you didn't have emails, you couldn't do CAT scans, you didn't do knee replacements, you didn't have airbags, you didn't have anti-lock brakes, there was no recycling, there were no high-efficiency appliances, you didn't have any of the, and you're right. You're absolutely right. When people my age were your age, none of that stuff existed. So we invented all of it. I want to make a comment about fresh approaches here, and probably the best example of new thinking, fresh approaches that sounded crazy was these things. Best-selling series of books ever in the history of the world. There's nobody close to them. But come with me for just a second. When this original idea was getting pitched as a concept. Let me make sure I've got your idea for a business correct. I understand it correctly. Your great idea is that you're going to write a book which you're going to sell for $35. Targeted exclusively to a market that by definition already owns the same book they got when they bought the software. And to help your business succeed, your plan is to insult that potential market in the headline. How many of us would have been saying, let me go get my checkbook. I want in on the ground floor of this puppy. And of course, they've gone on now, they've got Everything in the Universe for Dummies. My all-time favorite of this, a few years back, Dr. Ruth wrote a book called Sex for Dummies. This went on to the New York Times bestseller list. Now, I'm personally convinced it was mostly women that were buying that book. As gifts. I'm thinking to myself, who goes into the Barnes and Nobles, buys this book, stands in the cashier lineup with his book under their arm? And then I realized it's the women who are doing this. They're all looking at each other going, oh, yours too. What's wrong with these kids? We're hiring these kids in here. They got no sense of corporate loyalty. They got no sense of commitment. They've got no sense of organizational future stuff. All they care about is what's going to make their resume look better so they can get on to the next job somewhere else. What's wrong with these kids? And I would simply suggest to you that what's wrong with these kids, my opinion, they have got this figured out. What if they're right? What if that's the deal? We hear a lot about these Gen Y kids in particular who are, going to hop jobs all over the place, don't want to stay anywhere for any period of time, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's true. These are kids who have had specific goals, checked things off, accomplished this, been given the parameters since they were this high. They are achievers. We've made them that way. If we give them the clear parameters and then get out of their way and let them go, they will stay wherever they stay interested. When they get together on payday, the question running around that table is, what did you do at work that was really cool this week? And the guy who loses is the guy who says nothing. He's the one looking for a new job. With a lot of these kids, they need the wisdom, they need all that, but you also need to let them go a little bit. Comment from the leadership all the time, what if we invest all this time and energy in training our people and then they leave? I think it's the wrong question. I think the right question is, what if you don't and they stay? Our growth strategy is to have an entire staff full of people that no one else wants. Oh, folks, it's all about telling your story. Leadership is all about telling your story. We are watching right now in the U.S. the battle that goes on for leadership that's all about telling the story. You have got an incredible story to tell as an industry. I don't know what you do on your campus recruiting stuff. I don't know what you do in some of these other areas. But something I learned young in the household I grew up in is to understand that as much as it may be invisible and most people see the life insurance agent, the reality is nothing happens in this world till somebody can insure it. You guys are the heart and soul of this thing. To be able to get on campus and talk about the sophisticated modeling you do, the global nature of this, and you are right at the heart and center of all the headlines on world transformative events, and you guys are inside all of this happening. That's an exciting story from a career point of view. I would encourage you individually and collectively to get good at telling that story.